Hi everyone, my name is Jordan. First of all, I really want to say thank you, all the alumni for coming. You know how it is as a student, I always see it's school, but in a real career or industry, is way more than school. We really appreciate your tips and everything to share your career journey for us. So today we have Betty Novarro. If I pronounce your name wrong, please
It's
forgive me.
okay.
She graduated 2002. She is
I
the
graduated 2004.
oh, okay, sorry. 2004. Okay.
Yes.
2000, 2004. She is designer at StudioMa or MA.
StudioMa, yes, StudioMa.
Studio, StudioMa. We have Norella Carboni. She graduated 2012. She is director of design at Omgivning. How do you pronounce?
Omgivning.
Oh,
Omgivning.
Omgivning. Yes.
Tricky
And
one.
we have Jason Oak, graduate at 2013. He is technical designer at Perkins. We also have Kristen Geier. She graduated at 2015. Currently, she is designer at SOM. So we prepared a few questions. I am going to copy and paste on the chat room so you guys can see. And it'll be easier just to look at a question and answer. Can you guys see?
Yeah. Not the question yet.
Oh, no. Wow. Can you see now?
Oh, it's in the chat?
Yes, in the chat.
Got it.
So, yes. What about we start with Betty? Can you answer all these questions? The first one is, what's our daily schedule like?
Okay. Hi, I'm Betty Navarro. I work at StudioMa Architecture Planning and Design. I've been there for 16 years. I started as an intern. And so my typical day, my schedule is very different. No 2 days are the same. The way I approach my schedule is starting off with the office, in-house management. I typically do the project lists and write down all the deliverables, meetings for the week, problems, questions, whatever, and then I meet with the team typically 1 to 3 times a week, and right now we're doing all of that in Zoom. And then I reach out to clients, whether it's sending them an email for an update or just scheduling a meeting, anything to ensure that they feel confident that we're moving forward with the project. And then I reach out to consultants, the engineers or vendors, whoever, and then it depends on the project phase. I can either be asking for a proposal or letting them know when the drawings are going to be ready for them to get us on their schedule, or asking them to send us their drawings. And then a variable in my schedule is the marketing side. I assist in the 3 to 6 month planning ahead, whether we're competing on projects or creating like proposal presentations. I do that. And then the last thing on my, if I get to do something, is drawing. So if everything else kind of just falls into place, that's what I'm doing. But I am involved in all phases of a project, but I might not be working on all projects at the same time. And typically I'm running up to 3 projects at a time. And yes.
Thank you. We also want to know, we have a lot of questions about graduate school. So what's your opinion on going to graduate school for architecture or just graduate school in general?
I think it's It varies. I think it's based on the individual and what your long-term goals are. If you want to teach, then maybe yes, going to grad school is an option for you. Or if you want to own your own business one day, maybe taking, you know, business classes, a minor in business, something like that. But a career is not linear, so it really just like depends on you. If you want to work first and then go to grad school, that is an option too. Interior design is really just the foundation of many things. You know, you can just get credentials. You can be a lighting consultant or be a certified lighting consultant, or, you know, even a kitchen designer if you want to do residential. There's a lot of different things to consider. So it's really just up to you.
Thank you. We also have a question. What advice do you have for us while we're still in school?
So I graduated a very long time ago, so I don't really know what you guys are learning right now, but I would say challenge yourself. Sometimes, you know, go beyond the assignment, go beyond whatever your professor tells you to do, because at the end of the day, it's your project. You're selling it and you're selling yourself. And even if that means incorporating other interests, you know, if you liked what somebody else is doing right now, you know, incorporate it, because in the end, exploration is key. So challenge yourself. Don't just do what the teacher says.
Right. That's very cool perspective, because as students we have such a student mindset. I'm finished this assignment, but by the end of the day, it's your project. It's your it's represents you. Thank you. What helped you to choose the firm you work for?
My decision was a little different. After I graduated, I was still working on my internship hours, and I started off at a residential firm, and I was building models, but I didn't like the people. The people were not welcoming. It just felt very stressful, and it wasn't a paid internship. So at the same time, one of the professors at Woodbury introduced me to StudioMa. She wanted to teach full time, and I went and I interviewed, and I ended up staying there. I want to say the owner took a chance on me. Back in my day, we didn't learn AutoCAD in school. I had to teach that myself. And the other big thing was that I spent a lot of days by myself. And I had a really good team. The owner used to work at Gensler, and a couple of people had followed her and would work part-time there. So I had a really good team with me, and they were very helpful, and they were teaching me a lot of things. But in the end, a lot of the basics I learned on my own, and she took a chance on me, and I just celebrated 16 years there. So it's the people and it's the projects.
Thank you. How did you know you wanted to study interior design?
I started at a young age, and actually my uncle had studied architecture in Mexico, and my mom had kept some of his magazines and drawings and books, and I spent a lot of time looking at them, daydreaming. But it wasn't until I was in high school that interior design came up, and it came up because it was more of a math problem. My math teacher told me I wasn't good at math, and I should reconsider architecture. But in the end, design is more than math. You know, yes, you need to do programming, and yes, there's square footages, requirements that you need to consider. But design was right for me because it was an emotional translation. Interiors set the mood. When a space is well balanced and proportioned, most people remember how it made them feel. And we create those experiences and those functional solutions. And interiors is what I like to do.
Thank you. Okay, Norella, are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
Okay, so what's your daily schedule like?
So hi everyone, Norella. I'm Director of Design at Omgivning, and I've been there for about 8 years now. So since COVID, I've been working from home, I would say probably started in March. And really every day is a different day. No 2 days are alike. So similar to Betty, I wake up every morning around 7, take my dog for a walk. It's taken me a long time to realize that we really need to carve out time for ourselves. And walking a few times a day is a good way to get that like active meditation in, so you can clear your mind. And before you even check your emails, you're clear and you're ready for the day. So once I do that, I shower, I'm at my desk, make some coffee, go through my emails, go through my calendar. I'm currently working on about 10 different projects. So those are all at different phases, and I have, you know, somewhat of different roles on each one of them. So a lot of the day is spent talking to clients, meeting with our team. Some of those projects are internal marketing projects. So that I kind of need to carve out some quiet time, or I'm working with the marketing department on that. We use Google Hangouts, so we get to see each other a lot face to face, which is nice, but not as much physical not as much physical as we used to. Some days there are on-site meetings, so that does require us to, you know, drive to your project, wherever that may be, walk with the contractor, maybe walk with your team. Depending on the project, if you're in the design phase, you might have to access the materials library. So in that case, you're physically at the office, picking out materials, and getting a presentation together. Typically my day starts to slow down about 6 p.m. And then I, you know, take another walk, make some dinner. And then when the day is kind of quiet and slow, then I can do more general office tasks. So whether that's writing a proposal, reviewing time cards, or invoicing, those are just kind of nice tasks when you don't have kind of the heaviness of the day on you.
Thanks for sharing. The meditation part is very inspiring. It is so true. We need that time for ourselves. What's your suggestion, advice on graduate school?
I think if you can swing it, you definitely should do it. And, you know, like Betty was saying, it really depends on where you want to be. If you want to be a professor, you're definitely going to need that education. Some of the larger firms require that you have it in order to move up. So if you know that you want a really big role at a company, you might need, you know, certain master's degree for that. Obviously, if you want to start your own company, that would be great. My husband and I have a custom furniture company, so if I could go back to school, I would probably go for industrial design. I think, you know, having a bigger education would never hurt you. Get that scholarship.
What's your advice for us while we're still in school?
I would say to just absorb as much as you can. I really try to get the most out of every single class, and I still think back to those classes so often. Every class. I remember I had history of architecture with Christoph at PCC before I even got to Woodbury, and I still use that information so much, and those books. I work for an adaptive reuse firm, so we work on a lot of old historic buildings, and when you're working on those buildings, you really have to think about the architecture and your intervention, and you want to make sure that you're doing something that works with the building and with the original layout and design. I think about history of art all the time. You know, when you're doing art selection, all of that knowledge comes in handy. All of the materials classes, that's just the foundation, but you're going to need to have all of that material knowledge as you progress throughout your career. So yeah, just absorb, have good relationships with your teachers because they know the industry well, and a lot of them are practicing professionals. So, you know, definitely nurture those relationships.
Thank you. The last question, it's not last, my bad. What helped you to choose the firm you work?
So I've always had a love for architecture and interiors, and it was really hard for me to decide where I wanted to go to school, but I love that Woodbury offered interior architecture. So after graduating, I really wanted to find a firm that did both, and that wasn't so divided. Like I could do some architecture and I could also do some interiors. So Omgivning is a perfect firm for that, because with the adaptive reuse architecture, we're really designing buildings kind of from the inside out, very similar to what we did at Woodbury. And the variety of projects is very different. So with adaptive reuse, a lot of them are mixed use projects. So you might be doing retail, you might be doing housing, you might be doing a restaurant, a bar, a hotel. So that it's always exciting and fun.
Thank you. How did you know you wanted to study interior design?
So that came at a really young age. I had really creative parents that every weekend they were driving around yard sales, picking up old tables and chairs and repurposing them in the garage. And I was always lucky enough to have a really hands-on approach with that. They also let me do crazy things to my bedroom every year. So I had a Moroccan room, a 70s room. So it was a good experience to get to paint and pick things out and pick out fabrics and go to Joann's, I remember. So that really helped kind of foster that creative need. And so then I knew I just needed to find something that kind of kept that.
Thank you, thank you. It was very inspiring. We have Jason next. Are you ready? You can start.
Now I'm ready.
Okay, you can start. Introduce yourself and talk about what your daily schedule like.
Sure. So I am technical coordinator at Perkins and Well. We do many interiors projects, and like Norella, I'm able to touch core and shell stuff as well as interiors. So I'm able to work on a number of different projects, a lot of variety. So my typical day, I haven't mastered the meditation and time for myself yet. So I'm at the computer at 7 in the morning, and I usually stop around 7 or 8 at night. So I just can't seem to unplug it. Lots of coordination meetings, coordinating with consultants. So MEP engineers, structural engineers, acoustic engineers. Constant coordination with that. Drawing lots of details. Doing QC reviews on our drawings for interior projects. Which is quality control. So, just marking up drawings, redlining drawings, helping the team draw details, find details, deal with code. And I'm also part of the business development team. So, pursuing new projects. We just won the eHarmony headquarters here in LA. So it's always fun when you win projects. And then, helping to figure out staffing as well, and hours and what we need to do to get the job done and not, blow our budget. So that's about it. That's my typical day.
Great, thank you. So what's your thoughts on graduate school?
I think, like Betty and Norella said, it depends on the individual. For me, I went back to school in my 30s, so I was, a little bit later in life, and I was hired by Gensler right out of Woodbury, so I was already working for a good firm and had a good job. Had that not happened, and had I been younger, I would have gone to grad school. I loved school. It was the best 4 years of my life, really. So, like Norella said, if you can swing it, if you can do it, do it. It certainly can't hurt you. And there's a number of different things that you can go to grad school for. So obviously if you love interiors, get your master's in IA, or switch and do architecture, urban design. There's, it's a number of things you can do. So it depends on the person.
So do you recommend we work a little bit and go back to school, or jump into graduate school?
Again, I think it depends on the person. Yeah, it certainly can't hurt you, to go and get that experience. And I'd say if you're not where you're at, or headed where you want to be headed, then consider going back to school. You know, there were a number of people when I was at Gensler who ended up going back to school and getting their master's and then coming back and continuing to work for the firm. So it's certainly an option.
Thank you. What advice do you have for us while we are still in school?
Apply yourself. Pay attention. Ask questions. You know, be curious. You know, make the most of it. And I'd say always take the harder route. You know, don't take the easy route. Take the route that has more failures than successes at first. You know, try things. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, that's what I would say.
Thank you. I'm gonna probably make a quote out of "Don't be afraid to fail." Just post on our IG account. What helped you choose the firm you work for?
You know, they're all about social and race equality. We touch a lot of really cool projects that have such a positive impact on the community. So just having an opportunity to work on that. I mean, yeah, law firms are fun, and, you know, tech and finance, you know, those projects are fun, but it's also fun to work on projects that directly affect underserved communities and people. So that's something that Perkins will definitely is very, it's very important to them.
Thank you. How do you know you wanted to study interior design?
Well, I grew up in the country, so with my dad, my brother, and I, we were always building things. So my dad taught me how to build all kinds of stuff, which is probably why I'm a technical coordinator and not more focused on the design. So I like to build things. And then I sold real estate for a number of years, and I was always redesigning their homes in my head, and said, you know, why don't I go and do this for a living, because I love doing it, you know. So, you know, I finally sucked it up and said, let's go back to school and do what I've always wanted to do. You know, in 2008, the market crashed and real estate dried up, and it was a perfect time for, you know, the perfect segue for me to go back to school and do it.
That's awesome. Thanks for your answers, Jason.
Sure.
We have Christine now. Christine, are you ready?
I was born ready.
Yes. You can start with introduce yourself and talk about your daily schedule. Like, thank you.
Sure. So, yeah, my name is Kristen. I'm currently working at SOM. I've been there for 3 years. I'm 5 years out of school, and for the first 2 years out of school, I actually worked with Norella at Omgivning, and I'm one of her biggest fans. So just putting that out there. There are no secrets. So yeah, my day. I mean, what an interesting time to ask that question, right? The whole world has had to kind of change how our daily lives look. But so I'll answer that question on what my day is currently looking like. I'm currently on 2 projects. One, I'm in one project, it's under construction, new ground up, and the other is also a newer building, and we're in concept design. So I'm kind of working at both ends and part-time on both. So when you're right now, as we're in construction, we have to, for example, we get submittals or samples that need to be approved for the project. And so I literally have boxes of samples and people stopping at my front door, dropping things off for approval. So, you know, my living room looks like a materials library, and it's tough because you want several people to buy off on it. So like literally like driving around town, trying to get approval for samples, it's an interesting time, right? Where typically you would have all of those at a table within your office, and everyone is there to discuss and what have you. So yeah, an interesting time to be moving forward with construction. So that's kind of what's going on there. With concept design, like Jason said, we work with a lot of consultants. So it's a lot of, it's an iterative process. And I'm on a team in my office of about 15 people. I'm the only interiors person on the job. So I'm coordinating with other architects, structural engineers, you know, MEP, acoustic, fire life safety, lots of, you know, everything that goes into a building is changing on a daily basis since we're in concept design, because we don't know what the building looks like. We don't know if it's circle or square. We're working through several schemes. So I'll do a space plan to confirm program and efficiencies one day, and then the next day the building looks completely different and you have to do it all over again. So definitely an iterative process. You have to work closely with one another, and that just means that you're on a lot of meetings and a lot of calls, and it makes for a long day. But it's pretty interesting, and it's fun to work with different professions.
Thank you. Do you want to add any thoughts on the graduate schools? Because I kind of heard everybody saying it's really depends on person. Do you have anything to edit on that?
Sure. Well, yeah, exactly. Everyone is kind of right on with that, right? It definitely depends on what your goals are. The only thing I will add to it is I personally have not experienced the need for it. No one has required it of me, right? It's always nice to have that extra knowledge, but where I am at SOM, we need a license to move up in the firm. We don't need a master's degree.
Thank you. I think that's very important to her. We haven't heard nothing like that. I don't know. We always feel we have to go to graduate school to be a better designer. Thank you. That's very helpful. What advice do you have for us while we are in school?
Sleep. I would say take care of yourself, right? My biggest takeaway and my biggest regret is not taking care of myself while I was in school. I was working full time and you know, and in school, which are both pretty demanding. And when I was done, I came out with a lot of health problems, and I wasn't able to, you know, get a job and hit the ground running and perform how I would have liked. So, so take care of yourself, because that's just as important as getting the degree and gaining the knowledge. I would also say trust your instructors. Oftentimes they're teaching you when you don't realize that they're teaching you, and later on you'll say, oh, well, now I understand why, you know, they were asking me to do X, Y, and Z, or it may sound silly at the time, but trust them and go with it. And then I would also say pay attention to what programs different firms are currently using. You may not be using that in your classes, and currently, like when we're looking at resumes, we're often asking people, for example, to have Revit skills, and if you don't have that coming out of school, you may not be considered. So yeah, kind of pay attention to the programs that will be required of you when you get out of school. Make sure you know some of it.
Thank you. What helped you to choose the firm you work for?
I didn't choose it. It kind of chose me. I actually received a call from a former instructor at Woodbury, and they told me of the opportunity. And at first I wasn't interested, but like I said, I was only 2 years out of school. I had only worked at one firm, and it was a good opportunity for me to learn more. So I went for it. And I'm glad I did. I thought leaving, when I got out of school, I thought I would want to work for a smaller, more boutique firm. I didn't want to work for the larger firms, SOM being one of them. I assumed that I would be pigeonholed and, you know, being at the bottom of the totem pole. I thought that they would just kind of give me red lines and stick me in a corner and, you know, tell me just to pick up the red lines and be quiet, you know. That was definitely not the case. You know, week one, I was in meetings with partners and clients, and they valued my decisions and my input. So, so never make assumptions and do your homework. Yeah.
Thank you. We have, how did you know you want to start to study interior design?
So I don't know. I wish I could say that it was something that I always wanted to do. I don't know that I ever considered it as a profession until I was in my late 20s. I came from the entertainment industry, and I was a professional dancer and was injured, so I could no longer dance. And then I was working at a talent agency for 8 years, and that was never my end goal and what I wanted to be doing. So I thought, I have to figure out what will satisfy me in life. And interior design was always something I had an interest in, kind of, and I knew that it had an effect on people's experience, residential, commercial, hospitality, all of it. So I knew I thought I wanted to explore it more. I will have to admit, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I just kind of jumped into it, but overall it worked out.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your journey. Thanks to everyone. We finished the elaborate question sections now. And we have some quick questions we want to just, it's open to everyone. You guys can just answer. And we'll just add this question: what advice do you have for a student looking for work today? You guys can just start, anyone can start answering.
I would say really try to think of what you're passionate about, because if you're good at something, or if you're passionate about something, you're going to be really good at it. I still to this day love to just spend time looking at other firms' websites and projects and really educating myself with what's out there. So spend some time doing that, and I think that'll help you understand what types of projects you might be interested in.
Anyone else? Betty?
I think it's the same. Your interests, your hobbies can hold you through for a little bit, and then in the end can help you expand on that and contribute to what in the end you end up doing. So yes, almost the same thing.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add on? Okay, next question. Is your firm hiring, or what are you looking for the candidates?
Like Kristen said, Revit, like that's the number one thing, and you probably are going to be doing a lot of drafting in the beginning. I sure did. But yeah, Revit is the number one thing, and references. A lot of people will call whoever you put at the bottom, so it's good to just maintain good rapport with everyone, you know, your professors, your employers. I would say those are the top two things. And I saw Christoph had another question about LEED and WELL certification. I'm WELL certified, and as of now, I mean, there was kind of an increase in popularity with WELL, but now that COVID has happened, that demand is skyrocketing. So there are a lot more customers looking to have WELL certified buildings. So it's a really important thing right now.
Thank you. It's good to know we just had this WELL class. It's taught by Christoph, and I want to get the WELL lesson.
You should.
Yep.
Crystal, can I take your class?
Maybe. You can,
I need to get WELL certified. Okay.
So we prepared some like quick questions. I'm gonna start first. What skills do you wish you didn't learn? Is there any skill you wish you didn't learn?
None.
Did not learn.
Yeah. None.
Yeah. I
Learn
think
it all.
everything is applicable.
Yeah.
Even if it was just to know that you didn't like that.
Yeah.
You learned something.
I would say staying up for days. That was the worst skill that I learned. I don't do it anymore, but just knowing that I was capable of doing that, it was awful.
Yeah.
But everything was really valuable.
Thank you. Lorna, you want to ask?
Yeah, I actually saw that Thomas had asked what your guys' favorite experience was while at Woodbury. If you guys want to share that.
I went on a study abroad, so that was really fun. We went to Tahiti with Ingalil. So I hear her laughing. It was an unforgettable experience. So,
and Randy.
And Randy. Yeah, where is Randy?
I wish I would have had that option. It was after my time.
But if you get a chance to study abroad, definitely do that. It's just really interesting to see how other countries do what we do and get a different perspective.
Yeah.
I had another question as well. What other programs do you guys recommend learning now, so that way we're prepared for when we get into the workforce? So I know you said Revit. Are there any other ones that you guys would say are like, you need to know this?
Bluebeam.
Yes.
Bluebeam.
Bluebeam. We also use PlanGrid. Like in my firm, we use the iPad for everything. So all of the apps on the iPad are really valuable now. Even like Morpholio Trace. I don't really use trace paper anymore. I just trace everything on there. And you kind of do everything in layers, same way you do in Photoshop. I also use InDesign a ton, and I'm sure you all do too, but just to set up any deck that you're presenting to the client and having all of the pages in there, it's a really valuable program.
Yep.
Naira, I thought you had a question too.
Yes, so what kind of skills do firms mostly look for in their employees?
Team players. It's not about you. You know, yeah, just maybe, you know, being detail oriented, you know, that being a team player, hitting deadlines, you know, having a good work ethic.
Low ego.
Yeah, just don't even have an ego.
Don't even have one. Just
your ego is not your amigo, as they say.
No, you have to work in a team. There's just no other way to accomplish a project. And it's not just with the people that work in your office, but all of your consultants. So you really have to rely on everyone else.
Yeah. And you know, welcome criticism, you know, learn that it's the project and not my project. When it's my project, you have ownership. So when someone attacks it, they're attacking you, right? So when it's the project, we can look at the project objectively and criticize it without feeling like we're being personally attacked. You
how do you think these kind of, you can learn these kind of, or teach also these kind of soft skills? You know, we know how to teach Rhino.
Yeah.
I don't know really how to teach having no ego. Or being a good team player.
Yeah. I had a class at Woodbury once, I think it was tectonics, and you had to get together with the group and build a large piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work because you had to source the material. There, you know, you had to work in a team to use Rhino, or I can't remember the program that we ended up using, and then you had to build it together. So that, I think that was a good one to kind of give you an intro to how that all works.
Yeah.
Well, during the time, everybody hates it. Of course, all students are complaining.
Yeah.
But we know it's important.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Christoph, going off of what you said about how to learn criticism, I mean, I can speak for myself now as a current student. What really helps is when we have critiques, you know, like for midterms, finals. I feel like that in general has helped me apply it in like my everyday life as well. Just in taking criticism, you know, it's very like you guys have mentioned, not taking it personal. It's just how to do better. Like, and just having that mentality, I feel like I've picked up on that through the critiques and stuff that we have now during school.
Yeah. Absolutely. Welcome it. Get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, you'd rather fail now and have your project trashed now instead of in front of a client. You know, and that's going to happen too. But, you know, yeah, learn it now.
Yeah, and you'll have, you know, different forms of that. So you'll have your clients critiquing you, but you'll also have reviews at work within your office where all of your peers and principal will be reviewing you probably yearly, sometimes quarterly. So you really have to just be accepting and constantly growing.
Yeah.
I had another question. So what's the best way for us to get connected with the industry and make connections, make friends with people in the industry?
Well, IIDA, what you're doing through Campus Center. I mean, IIDA is a great one, and when they let us out of the house and we can go to events, you know, attend events, any and all events you can, because you never know who you're going to meet. Someone's always watching, or you know, there for you to, you know, you never know who you're going to meet. So just go to them, enjoy it. It's a small world. It's a small community. Also your friends, you know, friends who may have graduated ahead of you who have jobs, you know, stay in touch with them and, you know, communicate with them, reach out to them.
I agree. ASID also is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those organizations that you can join and volunteer, go to career day.
Yeah.
If you get the chance to meet any reps, any material reps, those people have been in the industry for a really long time, and you will rely heavily on them once you get a job.
Yeah, and they know all firms. They know people at all
Yes.
firms. They deal with all of them. So
Yes, I was going to add to that. Right now, there's a lot of manufacturers that are offering free webinars. Like, you can learn more about carpet, you can learn more about acoustical ceiling tiles, and just, you know, following them on their Instagrams, or, you know, signing up for that webinar. For students, they're free most of the time. And so, you know, that's a really good opportunity just to like get exposed to everything else that's out there.
Thank you guys. Kimberly, you have a question? Okay, I have a question. What type of projects do you guys work on?
all types. I've done more law firms than I care to admit.
So it's like one firm only focus on like commercial, residential, hospitality, or each firm have like a one specific type of project?
I'm sure it's different by firm. The firm I'm at, when I was at before, I mean, we pretty much do everything you can do. I'm on the interiors team, so it's all commercial interiors from law firms, finance, tech, creative, hospitality. I'm doing a hospitality project right now. I've even done healthcare, higher ed, so kind of all of it.
Yeah, and I would. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm good.
I would say our firm is mainly commercial projects, but there is a wide range, workplace, restaurants, bars, multifamily, furniture design. But within our office, a lot of us have our own areas of expertise. So I'm kind of like the go-to restaurant bar person. And there's a lot of like really specific codes and specific consultants when it comes to that. And the process is different. So it kind of helps within your own company splitting off and being like the keeper of all that information.
Thank you. I have another question. So what's the network tips for now? I know probably a lot of people networks on linking, but do I just link people, like message people? I don't know what to say. And I always think I'm just a student, like why they want to link with me. So what's your guys' thoughts on this, and what's the tips and advice?
Don't ever think you're just a student and why would they want to talk to me. You are the next generation. You're right behind where we're at. I mean, we were all in your seat not that long ago. So.
And I would say when a student does reach out, that actually shows that they're really interested in getting a job and being in the industry and passionate about what they're doing. So don't ever be afraid to reach out to someone in the industry.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. It's amazing to see. I'm sorry. Is anyone else have a question?
I was gonna ask a question. Hey everybody, I work in admissions with architecture and interior design students, and it would be interesting to know if there's kind of like a difference between what you thought interior architecture, interior design was when you were going to school, and what it is in real, like, day-to-day life. Like, if there's a difference, or what's the biggest kind of difference between those two things? Like maybe some kind of surprise about the profession that you may not have kind of anticipated?
I didn't realize there were so many consultants. You could have like 20 on a project. And it's just endless.
Yeah.
And codes.
Code.
The city is unbelievable.
Code is not the sexy stuff.
No.
Thank you. Anyone have questions?
I have a question. Do you think that the education at Woodbury prepared you well for your job, for your future career?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What was the question? I missed it.
What was that, Kristen?
I couldn't hear what her question was.
Oh, okay. Let me repeat. Do you think that the education at Woodbury prepared you well for your future career and for your job that you are doing now?
Yeah.
I really appreciated all the computer programs I learned. I've noticed that a lot of people that had graduated at the same or similar time as me didn't know as many programs. And I was just jumping right into InDesign and Illustrator, and I really knew how to use the programs well, and I was surprised that other schools didn't offer that.
Yeah.
And another question, maybe Christoph will not like it, but do you think we still need to learn how to build models, physical models?
Sure. I miss building models. And when I was in school, I said, I'm never building another model when I graduate, and now I miss it.
I miss it. I miss it too.
It's fun, but you know, it definitely helps you. Just say that it definitely helps you.
SOM has a model shop in the office,
Mhm.
So we're constantly building things to study various things like facades or different scales of furniture, or I don't know, various things. But we mostly use it to relay to the client what we're proposing. And it's usually on a larger scale, you know, urban design and larger buildings. So interiors doesn't use it as much, but architecture does for sure.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question to that Anna will like, because she asked the question before. What do you see a role for virtual reality, augmented reality? Is it growing in the industry, or is it just a fluke that we should not waste our time on?
It's definitely growing. I reached out to one of our reps at was it Human Scale? I think it was Human Scale, but they're actually using a lot of their furniture now in VR, since they're not able to come to your office with a sample of the furniture. So they're just sending everything through links to clients. But that would be a huge tool for us now too, to be able to, you know, send the room to the client instead of having them come to our office and, you know, show them the drawings and walk them through the floor plan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's easier for us to be able to read plans and sections and whatnot, but the client can't always do that. So having that option of virtual reality is super helpful, especially as Norella was saying with the furniture. I mean, you can sit in a chair and see your exact furniture around you, and you know, it's a powerful tool.
Thank you, guys. It's about to be 1. We'll have to wrap it up. It's amazing to see how we all from one school, and after you guys graduated, you guys went to different directions, and all this amazing career journey you guys shared with us is very inspiring. Can you guys leave your email and linking, so if later we have more questions, we can reach out to you guys? It would be awesome. If you can just type on the chat room so students can link with you guys later. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for your time as well. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for setting
Thank
us
you
up.
guys.
Thank you.
Nice to see you all.
Ingelo and Kristaps, great to see you guys.
Awesome to see you guys. Thank you.
Yep.
You guys were so
Yes.
inspiring. I'm glad we recorded this.
You guys have amazing professors there. Take advantage of it.
That's right. We'll go to Tahiti next year.
Deal. Oh.
Nice to see you.
Maybe we should offer tours for alumni also. Alumni away.
Bora Bora, yes.
Deal. Count me in. So long as we can go fishing.
I think there's good fishing in Tahiti.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. We were literally eating out of the lagoon.